Alrighty guys, we're going to do a quick midday recap for today. It's December 30th, 2016, very last day of 2016 to trade, and it's a bit of a slow one. I only had two trades this morning, two triggers on IMGN and MRNS, one long and one short. I'm going to go over those for you guys. Before I do that, I just wanted to congratulate Trade Addict for two things. One is that he's been such a huge help in our group each morning. He's got a lot of great ideas to post, and the second part of that is he just recently told me that he has actually doubled his trading account since he began trading with us 2 months ago. So congratulations, man, and here's to a really good 2017. So let's go ahead and get right into the two trades from today. The only real trigger I got was on IMGN from the stuff that I was watching, and I'll show you where the trade idea was and how it kind of managed it, for those of you that maybe missed the stream this morning. So first of all, we had a possible setup in here. If you guys were on the stream, you might remember me saying that I thought this needed a little bit more time to consolidate over VWAP to give me a trigger. Luckily, it didn't quite do it. It needed maybe like 10 more minutes in there, and then a higher low would have got me in. But no trigger there, so saved us some money on that one. It actually went down, put a lower high under VWAP. This is technically an area where I would normally look to short. I just wasn't really interested because I didn't think there was enough overhead longs in this one. And I didn't really think it was, even if it did fade, I didn't really think that it was going to go very far. So kind of just left that one alone, and I moved on to MRNS. Short idea, which I'll get to in a minute. I ended up shorting MRNS, which I'll explain in a moment. And then while I was holding on to that, we noticed that IMGN actually came back and reclaimed VWAP. So if you go in the video lessons section of our website, in the members portal, you're going to find a video on VWAP reclaim, a setup that we use for VWAP reclaim, and this is pretty much it. But the beautiful thing is it was actually kind of a double setup, because it was, not only was it the VWAP reclaim setup, it was also a cup and handle setup, which is one that we play quite often, and it also had a very nice risk-reward scenario laid out with this consolidation before the breakout. So the plan for this trade was pretty simple. Was looking to get long anywhere between basically 92 and 94 in this area, anticipating the breakout, looking for some volume to come in, and the stop would have just been basically 2 cents below, usually around 88 in this case. Maybe even 90, because really it was starting to hold 90. So I would have wanted to see hold 90 in this case. And yeah, I mean, just basically a very textbook sort of style trade that we would take. I definitely got a legitimate buy trigger on it. JB also got a buy trigger on it, which is always a good sign when we both get one. And again, the risk on this trade was maybe 2-3 cents. The reward was... I was looking for 202 as a first target, as you guys know, and then I held 1/3 for 207 is where I ended up getting the last bit out, and it hit as high as 210 on this one. So overall, really nice trade idea, nice trigger, great risk reward scenario. That's exactly what we're looking for, and those are the kinds of trades that we're looking to get you guys in. Unfortunately, on a day like today, when things are pretty slow, we may only have 1 or 2 of those. But if you're patient and you're going to wait for those setups, it's going to be very rewarding for you, and it'll be worth your time to wait for those kinds of triggers, okay? The other trade we had today was on MRNS. Of course, JB didn't take this one. This was just my trade from this morning. JB focuses almost 100% on the long side when it comes to stocks. He only shorts futures, as a lot of you guys know. But okay, so here's what basically the thought process, and I'm just going to kind of get rid of some of the noise here on this chart. And again, this is just really for those of you that weren't on the stream this morning, because I think it was explained pretty good in the moment. So we had this morning a bit of a gap up on MRNS. I think the bias was pretty heavily short on the short side this morning. It's almost become like routine for these types of stocks to get too crowded, especially when there's not much else going on. Everybody seems to be sort of watching the same thing, and everyone's eager to get short early, thinking that they might miss the opportunity, for example. So you can see that right off the open, there was a big squeeze. It hit as high as $1.27, it looks like, on this candle. And then it came in, put a lower high in, probably triggered in some shorts right here. But then it started to actually hold. It held $1.02, and then we saw some higher lows start to come in, and then it actually bursted back through VWAP, which created a real nice push there back to 22. And then here's where things get kind of tricky. It actually went back under VWAP, but it held a higher low, and then it busted back over. Then it started to hold VWAP. I almost got a buy trigger in there, just didn't quite consolidate enough, so I didn't buy it there. It would have just been for a quick trade, but this spike here, this is the thing, guys, is a lot of the time it'll get too crowded on the short side, okay? And it's usually kind of obvious when there's a big short squeeze and there's not going to be any follow-through momentum. It's obvious to anyone that's had eyes on the market for years and watches price action in the tape very closely. What happened here, and this is where I started getting interested in shorting this, was after all the morning traders had kind of already been in, out a few times, got squeezed. This to me was 100% a short squeeze. There may have been some real buyers in there, but that would have been a mistake to buy it up there. What kind of triggered me in was we couldn't hold over 120. So I'm just going to kind of clear these lines again and give a closer look at what I was thinking here. So 120. We had this big squeeze. Just going to remove that one. And if there's any real strength behind the stock, if it's really going to continue from here, it just felt like one big flurry of short covering. And then I would have wanted to see 120 start to hold. And if it started to hold on like that, then we could anticipate that there's going to be another leg higher. In which case, the next area I was interested in was around $1.35. But it just kind of went up, and then when you see this happen, and then it immediately just sold right back off to 15. It attempted for 4 or 5 minutes to hold over 120, and it just couldn't do it. This is where I started to get really interested in potentially shorting. And if I was to get in early on this one, like if I was to short, say like 1/3 size, keep it small because we're over VWAP, my stop would really just be like basically 22 or maybe 25 at the highest. But I kind of like that 22 area because it was nice resistance here. You can see it tried a few times to get over that. So if it did come back through 22, there's a good chance it actually would go higher. But I started to get interested on that high a day stuff. It went up, just completely stuffed it, and then lower high under 22. And then this is the candle that got me the most interested, was when it came back, retested 20, failed, one more time, couldn't get back over 20. And that was it. That was the end of it right there. So I kind of got, typically I'll have a short trigger right here. I actually missed that one. It broke through VWAP and I ended up scaling. I ended up getting in at 114 on this one. So it was a bit of a late trade, but a safer entry. So usually where I look to add some size, if I don't get in early, if I'm just waiting for the real under VWAP setup, it's going to be on a VWAP retest and fail. You can see it went over VWAP, couldn't hold. This second time, it looked really weak on that test. I'll hit the bid usually in there and anticipate a washout. So in that case, just went ahead and took a cover, as you guys know, over the stream at 107 for a third. And here I did kind of lose my patience a little bit. I took a cover on this at 112, which is not really typically what I do, but I kind of felt like this was a little bit of a crowded trade, and I just wanted to make sure everyone got paid on it. And the other 1/3 I'm actually still holding. So I'm kind of looking for a 102 target, or I'm going to stop if it breaks at this point. Probably stop if it breaks 114 for a flat on the other 1/3. So we'll see what that can do for us today into the close, guys. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot out there today, but I'm glad we stayed patient and were able to go 2 for 2 on some decent trades. And even IMGN gave a little bit more follow through than I kind of thought it would, given the market conditions today. And I would keep an eye on this one today for a correction in the afternoon, and then maybe another setup, but we'll see. Let's see. Other than that, guys, we had a few on the watch list like Cool, which unfortunately just did no volume today, so I didn't bother with that. Shane, 5DMY, Shane in chat had a really nice idea that JNUG would have a huge pullback today. and he was spot on with that. His trading's been great lately. And I don't think JB got any triggers. He got a trigger on IMGN with me this morning for a long, but his trigger was for a 91 entry, and he didn't get the fill, so he just let it go. And that's a really good. He's such a good inspiration to people in terms of like being patient and disciplined with your trading. My entry on IMGN was a 94. I wanted to get in this area. I was starting to eye it up at 91, 92. For me, I wanted to actually see it start to go because I was a little concerned that the volume's low today and it might have kind of faked out. But it's such a good setup. You really got to put some trust in it. I kind of chased it through 94 in this case, and so I put my stop actually at 90. Which worked out well this time, but ideally I was watching and I should have got in at 92, so there was a bit of a mental error there, to be fair. And what I was saying about JB is, I mean, he was bid 91, he was looking for a 2-cent risk trade. He didn't get the fill, he doesn't chase it. If he doesn't get the fill, it's just no trade. And it's an amazing amount of discipline he has, and that's the reason why he's so consistently successful with his trading. So congrats, JB, for being patient and being a good inspiration to everyone here in the room to wait for those proper setups. All right, guys, that's the morning. I got a few ideas going into the afternoon that I'll go over with you guys in a little bit. So have a good lunch, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.